So we're still talking about murder, but we're going to talk a lot about more love today. So today we're going to be talking about The Hate You Give by Angie Thomas. This beautiful, beautiful book has been banned and challenged in hundreds of schools since its publication in 2017. A lot seeming to stem from Texas. Texas, you problematic state. Banned and challenged because it features elements of police brutality, profanity, racism, drug use, and violence. So before I get too far into the reason behind the bans, what is The Hate You Give? This book is about Star Carter, 16-year-old African-American girl from a poor neighborhood who attends a private school in a mostly white part of the city. Star goes to a party one night, ends up running into an older friend of hers, Khalil. On the way home, they get pulled over, and Khalil ends up being shot and killed by a white police officer. Fortunately, a story we've heard way too many times in the last few years. The book follows her dealing with not only the trauma, but all the aftermath of being the witness, having to find her voice for justice, all while trying to balance family and just being a teenager. I mean, having that happen at 16, I can't even imagine. Me at 16. Yikes, having to deal with all that. That's a mess. She ends up speaking out about the shooting in an increasingly public way throughout the book, and social tensions escalate in a riot after a grand jury decides not to indict the police officer for the shooting. It's just so frustrating because it's like, this is supposed to be a work of fiction, and yet we've seen this happen in real life time after time. And so it's very frustrating. Because it's like, oh, this fictional book I'm reading, I see it happen on the news constantly. I absolutely love this book. It was heartbreaking and terrifying. Funny, full of Harry Potter references, which I was not expecting. And above all, it was real. And I think that's what it comes down to, why it was challenged so much. This story repeats over and over. More privileged white police officers shoot underprivileged minorities every day and face little to no repercussions. And as much as I love this book, it made me feel such real anger at times because how often this happens and people try to defend these murders. I don't care if a person has drugs on them or has done drugs in the past or written bad checks or been involved in petty crimes. It does not deserve a death sentence. So let's look at why this book was banned, and do I think it should have been? Police brutality, 100%. That's in there. But I feel that it's definitely written and portrayed accurately. So why censor it? I know that police force is necessary to society. We need police. Okay, whatever. Oh my god. But ours is horribly flawed, and it not held accountable for their actions. And have you ever seen the statistic on how many police officers are involved in at-home domestic violence instances? It's ridiculous. I mean, I could go into a whole video about how not all, yes, not all, but a lot of men who become police officers is because they have a thirst for power and authority. And you see it every day. Like, they just want to be able to control people. And that's why they became cops. And they abuse that power. And when they do abuse that power, they're not being held accountable. Profanity. Definitely. But let's be real. Kids in junior high and high school are hearing profanity everywhere. Reading the F word in a book is not going to screw up their lives. I work with 6, 7, 8-year-olds who call me an effing B word in behaviors all the time. You think they read that in a book? No. They heard it at home. They heard it at school. Come on, people. Reading swear words in a book is not the end of the world. Racism. Hello. That's what the whole book's about. And I know there's people in this country that claim we don't have a problem with racism. And I'm pretty sure you're the problem, my guy. If you're taking a book about racial injustice and listing a reason for it to be banned as racism, I think there's something in here you need to take a second look at. Drug use. So drugs and people dealing drugs is discussed in the book, and they even try and use the fact that Khalil had to sell drugs to get his mom out of financial debt as a reason he deserved to be shot. But no one in the book is ever portrayed or shown to be using drugs. And that's another thing that makes me so angry. Is that, like with Breonna Taylor, it's like, oh, well, there was drugs in the home, or they'd been, known to be associated with people that did drugs. That doesn't mean they deserve to die. I'm pretty sure when you get convicted of a drug crime, you don't get sentenced to death. You don't go on death row. So why do you deserve to be shot dead in your home, in your bed? That's not how it works. That's not how our justice system is supposed to work. So why would it be justified that someone is shot because they had drugs or an affiliation with drugs? It doesn't make sense, and it's not a justification for a cop shooting someone. Violence. Obviously, there's violence. Star witnesses 2 of her childhood friends actually getting shot in front of her. There's a few instances of police using excessive force and some domestic abuse, but it's not actually witnessed in the book. It's just talked about. I mean, it's also a very real thing that happens in everyday life. I mean, the whole book is centered around, like, police brutality and violence. So this book is also full of love and strength, and it shows Star's family, which is loving and works through some really tough problems, but works through them nonetheless and comes out stronger on the other side because they choose to fight for each other rather than give up because it gets tough. And it explores friendships and how even though you've had a friend for a long time, maybe it might not always be a healthy relationship, and that it's okay to let go of that relationship in order to flourish. And I mean, that's something I've learned throughout the years too, is just because something is comfortable or you've had it in your life for a long time doesn't mean it's the best thing for you. I mean, your family is a great example of that. Just because they're the family you're born into does not mean they, 1, deserve you, and 2, does not mean that they're healthy for you. They might be very toxic and not good for you, and you need to let them go. God, America is so horrible about building this toxic culture around family is everything. Family, blood is thicker than water. No, it's not. Sometimes family is the most horrible thing you can keep in your life because they're abusive, or they don't value you for you, and they drag you down. Cut them loose, man. This book also really pushes that it doesn't matter where you come from, and you don't have to fall into stereotypes, and you can always work to change your circumstances. I would argue that this book is actually very, I don't know, I really like, because like Star has a boyfriend, and they're very into each other. They like each other a lot, and they've, very avidly not had sex because she does not want to be another statistic and get pregnant. And so they've been abstinent, and been very careful about, not having sex, because she does not want to just be another black girl that gets pregnant in high school. And I really like that. Like, that was, another way of this book speaking to that, you don't have to be another stereotype. Of course, most of all, this book says, you should always speak up for those who no longer have a voice. The world's full of so much injustice, and it can feel insurmountable, but it doesn't mean we should sit back and do nothing. Always stand up for what's right. I firmly disagree with anyone trying to ban this book, and anyone doing so is probably doing it out of fear. Fear of upsetting their perfectly balanced life, of looking at something ugly that they know is happening but don't want to admit it. Fear of looking in a mirror. I strongly recommend The Hate You Give to Everyone. It will take you on a roller coaster of emotions, and it will make you feel. Which I personally, if it's a good book, it's going to make you feel something. And like I said in other videos, I think that's what it comes down to with these books that get banned and challenged. There's people out there that don't want people to feel things that might lead them to upset their balance of power. And I think that's what it all comes down to with Banned Book Week and banned books and burning books and all that, is that there's people with religious views and power struggles that just don't want people to have knowledge and feelings that might someday upset their way of life. So I would challenge you guys to read as many books as you can, and maybe upset some power balances out there, because that's the only way things are ever going to change. That's how Banned Book Week started, is the people that were in charge of, the publishing of books wanted a little more light shined on banned books. So they found an angel to come along and shine some light on them. And there's a lot of people out there in this country that don't like Banned Book Week, I'll tell you that. Because, they've already put so much effort into trying to get these books banned and challenged, and to have more people focused on the books that they tried to get rid of already. Yeah, they don't like that. So, yeah. Alright, you guys. So, happy Banned Book Week. Happy 40 years. Oh my goodness. That's awesome. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this Banned Book Week. I hope you guys check out some of these books. Let me know if you've read The Hate You Give, if you enjoyed it, what you thought about it. I saw that I think they made a movie. That's right, I need to go check that out, see how that is. Because I think the chick that played Rue from Hunger Games and oh my god, like one of my favorite musicals ever, Dear Evan Hansen. Yeah, I think she's in it. I think. So, I'm excited. I'm going to go check that out. Alright, I love you guys so much. Happy Man Book Week. And I will see you later, because you all know what's coming. October is coming. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I have so much planned. So much planned.